Tonight, Friday Night SmackDown takes place once again from inside the WWE ThunderDome in Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida. Of course, it's a special Christmas Day edition of Friday Night SmackDown. So once again, happy holidays. Hope everyone is having a Merry Christmas. Hope you're having a great holiday and festive period. What we're going to be talking about in this video is, of course, another championship match that is going to be taking place on SmackDown tonight. It's a huge show, actually. There are so many championship matches announced for the show. There's Universal Championship Steel Cage main events. There's WWE Women's Tag Team Championship action as well, but also what we're going to be talking about in this video is the WWE Intercontinental Championship match. That is the WWE IC title on the line as Intercontinental Champion. Sami Zayn defends against Big E. Now, this one has been bubbling up for a while. Obviously, we saw over the last couple of weeks, Sami Zayn, he did the Sami Awards because there was the Slammies in this past week. Great to see the Slammies back, by the way, isn't it? Always a big fan of the Slammies. It feels like such a natural progression at this point. Maybe not to have the special episode of Monday Night Raw or anything like that, the actual award show, but it feels like a natural progression to have the Slammies actually happening on the bump midweek, have people record their stuff at home and then be giving these awards. It feels like a natural progression. And obviously this Sami Zayn and Big E storyline has been bubbling under for a while now on Friday Night SmackDown. Obviously we saw it happen at TLC as well. We saw Sami Zayn confront Big E backstage, and there was the whole Tom Cruise parody, wasn't there, with Sami Zayn about the leaked audio with Kayla Braxton as well on Friday Night SmackDown. If you haven't seen it or you don't know the context of it, basically Tom Cruise is currently filming, what's it, Mission Impossible, I think 7? I mean, it might be 7, 8, 9... way too many of those movies. Nevertheless, he's filming one of those movies, and obviously there's strict health and safety protocols of filming in the pandemic, and obviously he spotted someone or a couple of people off camera or wherever being too close to each other, breaking those protocols, and there was this leaked audio of him just going ballistic. I mean, ballistic, it doesn't even cover it. All you have to do is do a quick Google search, quick YouTube search, you'll see what I'm on about, because he goes crazy. So that got a bit of traction last week, and it was WWE trying to gain some, try and parody it, try and seem topical, try and seem hip with pop culture and what's going on, what's trending at the moment on social media. So they basically did the same thing, but had Sami Zayn screaming at people after the Sami Awards a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown, and you heard Sami Zayn basically doing the same as Tom Cruise, essentially shouting at these WWE employees or staff backstage at SmackDown, and that was leaked, and it was quite funny. In fairness, I criticize WWE a lot of the time with their humor. I say certain things aren't funny, and I'm still, this doesn't change my opinion on things like that. WWE's attempt at humor, it's obviously very hit and miss. Comedy is hit and miss anyway. That's the nature of comedy, isn't it? But WWE, in terms of their comedy, is more miss than hit most of the time, which is strange, because I think if you go back and look and say in the late 90s, the Attitude Era, not maybe the peak of the Attitude Era, but sort of 2000, 2001, 2002, WWE had a period of time where they were legitimately funny. They were legitimately funny. It goes to The Rock. You look at a Rock promo way back when. They were funny. People didn't like it, the whole Steve Austin heel turn and his alliance with Kurt Angle and the Vince McMahon stuff. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. I know people said it killed the Stone Cold character, and maybe it did, but it was funny. It was funny. So it's I credit WWE for trying to do a bit of comedy, I guess, and again it was funny for WWE, so it's not bad. The Sami Zayn character at the moment, obviously you've got some great characters on SmackDown right now. Arguably the best being Roman Reigns. I think that would probably be universally agreed there. Roman Reigns is the best character on SmackDown because he's the best character in WWE at this point. The heel turn is what everyone thought it was going to be and what everyone has wanted for so many years, and it really truly hasn't let us down. The Roman Reigns promos, segments, matches, has he done anything that's bad since he's returned? Honestly, it's just been that good. But one of the other great characters on SmackDown is Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn was a great character earlier this year prior to the pandemic. He was fantastic. He really was fantastic. He was over the top. Of course, prior to him winning the Intercontinental Championship from Braun Strowman at Elimination Chamber earlier this year, he was a manager. He was a manager for quite a while, wasn't he, with Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro. And I think a lot of people were concerned, and I was probably one of those people at the time going, oh no, Vince McMahon, for whatever reason, just sees Sami Zayn as a good mouthpiece, but his days of wrestling are going to be very infrequent now. Vince McMahon's going to look at him going, oh, you're just so much better as a manager, and you know, you don't have the physique to be a pro wrestler, blah, blah, blah. And I was concerned. I was very concerned because we know the capability of Sami Zayn. We know how great Sami Zayn is in the ring. Of course, he's one of the best wrestlers in the world, even prior to going in WWE, El Generico, then his work in NXT and feud with Kevin Owens and the great matches he's had. Everyone knows what Sami Zayn is capable of in the ring. As a babyface, obviously, he was looking to be one of those guys for a while in WWE that was like, for whatever reason, Vince McMahon thinks something's missing, right? Something's missing. What is missing about Sami Zayn? He just doesn't have that character or anything like that. So once he became a manager, it felt like, oh no, here we go. Another great wrestler that's put into a role that maybe they shouldn't be in. But Sami Zayn, credit to him, I mean, made chicken salad out of chicken you-know-what, because he has been fantastic. The last 18 months in WWE, he has been fantastic. But arguably, he has done the best work of his career since he returned. Obviously, he was one of those people that abstained from performing during the pandemic. He wasn't happy with how WWE did their mask protocol, social distancing, health and safety procedures, lack of testing, etc. Absolutely credit to him. I feel like he absolutely made the right decision. Everyone that abstained from performing during that period, whether it's Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens and others, I felt they were absolutely the right call because they forced WWE's hand to change their protocols and it was absolutely the right thing to do. But since Sami Zayn has returned, he has been, I don't know, he just feels like he's even more over the top now. I mean, Sami Zayn was over the top anyway, and he was, you know, insufferable in storyline, but he feels like he's on another level now. And I don't know if it's his appearance. I think it probably is. His appearance, that he looks so disheveled at this point. He's got the really long beard. He's got the really long hair. He wears the bizarre outfit of the sort of, like, was it camo green? You can see it there in the hat and the baggy, like, pants. I mean, it's just such a phenomenal look. It's such a phenomenal look, and he's so over the top in his promos, and whenever he talks, he is so over the top. Whether it's even when he was doing the Sammy Awards last week, and he's got his hair slicked over to the side, he's got his ginormous beard. It's just hilarious. He is such a character. He is such a character. Maybe, you know, we criticise him a lot. I certainly do. And I think this criticism is incredibly valid when it comes to Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon's always looking for characters, isn't he? He's not looking for great pro wrestlers. He's looking for characters. And Sami Zayn has really transitioned into an excellent character. You could argue the thing that was missing with him when he was a babyface in WWE. This is a great wrestler. He had a real connection with the audience as a babyface. But you could argue maybe he was a bit, you know, white meat, vanilla babyface, and he didn't really have that much about him in terms of a character. Now he really is the whole package. You could have argued previously that his promos maybe were a little bit soft. His promos are so good, so good, because he's such a great character. And I think he's managed to figure out the WWE way of things, in that the character is first, the wrestling will come after. And I think you look historically, some of the most successful WWE superstars of all time, that's kind of been the pattern there. The character comes first. If you can work, that's great, and that will come afterwards. But the character is the most important thing, whether it's The Rock, Steve Austin, John Cena, Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker, whoever, the character is the most important element. That's what comes first, and then everything will follow. And that's basically the same with Sami Zayn now. His character is so strong, so strong, that everything in terms of working and having matches and etc., the storylines, all that kind of stuff, that will follow. And that's been the case with Sami Zayn, I think now. He's figured it out. He's figured it out. He's seen the light in terms of how to work in WWE. And he's got it absolutely spot on. So you have to credit him. You have to credit him because I think his work since his return has been absolutely fantastic. Obviously, he's defending tonight against Big E. Now, before we get into actually talking about Big E, because I do want to talk a lot about Big E, obviously this show is pre-taped. It was taped on Tuesday. It's not going to be live, so there are spoilers out there, and I'm sure a lot of people have probably seen the spoilers. I've tried my best to avoid them. Obviously, being on social media and on the timeline, they come up. Specific to this one, and don't worry, I'm not going to get into spoilers or anything like that. This is just a preview. This is just a discussion of my thoughts, your thoughts on SmackDown and this match in particular. So we're not going to say anything about spoilers out there. Obviously, the issue is when it comes to taping shows that WWE once again requires an audience. This wasn't an issue when WWE was pre-taping shows in the WWE Performance Center because they didn't have a crowd, and when they did have a crowd, it would just be NXT Performance Center recruits. Whereas now, WWE once again needs people in attendance, albeit virtually, inside the WWE ThunderDome. So this was taped on Tuesday. This was broadcast on Tuesday to those inside the ThunderDome that could manage to get a virtual ticket to the ThunderDome. So obviously those results have been out for a couple of days now, but we're not going to touch on that, but just so you're aware. So Big E, let's talk about Big E and then we'll round this one out. Big E, it's an interesting one. It's a very interesting one with Big E. I think some people, the split of the New Day was very, very, very polarizing. I think there was obviously a group of people that said, how can you split up the New Day? Why would you do that? Blah, blah, blah. And I understand their opinion. I do understand their opinion for that. It's a faction that was never broken up before. How can you split them up? But also, there's the other side of it that said it's probably needed. And I fell into that side. I think it was the right call. I still do think it was the right call. Because, look, Kofi Kingston's been WWE Champion. To me, it still frustrates me that he's not back in the main event. Because if it was like they went with Kofi Mania for about 9 months, and then they dropped him like that, and just he's fallen back into the Kofi Kingston that he was prior. And I don't see the point in Kofi Mania then. But Kofi Mania was a movement. It was a moment. But you can't just act like it never happened, and that's what they do now. That's, I think, the most frustrating thing is they act like it never happened, and I think Kofi should still be floating around the main event scene. Why not? You invested all this time in all these pay-per-view matches, and he carried SmackDown for about 9 months. So that to me just seems odd that they pretend it didn't happen. But Big E, I think universally everyone would say with the New Day, Big E could be a future world champion. And everyone was saying, oh, one day Big E's got to go singles. One day Big E's got to go be a single star. One day Big E's got to be a single star. He could be a main eventer. He could be something so special. And then WWE tries to do it, and then you have these people that criticize it. It just goes to show that some people always want something to criticize, and even when they get what they want, they don't like it, even though it's what they wanted in the first place. You tell me. I don't know how that stuff works. I think it was the right call to split them up. The New Day are never going to be split up, and I think that's the important thing. The thing they've kind of emphasized there, that yeah, they're on different brands, but they're still in WWE. We've seen them come together on pay-per-view still, so the New Day are never split up. And they probably will reunite maybe in a year's time, 18 months' time, whenever they do another draft. But this is important to give Big E the spotlight. We saw when Xavier Woods was out of an injury and Kofi Kingston was on his vacation or time away from WWE, is that Big E shone. He did shine in that singles role on SmackDown, and it's time to double down on that because Big E can be a main eventer. Big E can be a world champion, and he needs to be given that spotlight to thrive. And unfortunately, I think WWE are kind of backing themselves into a corner, but I think they're right to, because if they kept the New Day on the same brand, and this was the discussion I think that really was quite polarizing when the New Day got split up, or at least drafted to different brands, was that, well, you don't need to split up the New Day. You don't need to put Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston on Raw to allow Big E to be a single star. The issue is you kind of do. And the reason I say that is because I think WWE knows what potentially they would do if Kofi and Xavier Woods were still on SmackDown. If they were on SmackDown, they wouldn't be able to help themselves. They would try Big E as a single star for a couple of months, and if it either didn't work, or for whatever reason they got bored, or they felt backed into a corner when it comes to ratings, or they just weren't sure what to do with a particular storyline, they would always fall into the trap of having Big E team up with Xavier Woods or Kofi Kingston and just go back to being the New Day. They wouldn't really commit to this big push because they would always have the out of just going back to the New Day. And I think by putting Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods on a different brand, it kind of forces their hand in the sense of, no, this is what we're doing. We're going to commit to having Big E be a main eventer. We're going to commit to having Big E as a single star. We can't go back to the New Day because they're on a different brand. Maybe we can later on in time. Right now, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go for it. We're going to persist with it. And we're going to keep going with it. So I think it was the right call. The only issue is that for a while, Big E wasn't doing much. He had the feud with Sheamus and then wasn't doing that much. And I think this is the right thing for him to do right now. Maybe win a championship. I still think he could be considered a favourite for the Royal Rumble. I would love to see Roman Reigns versus Big E as the SmackDown main event for WrestleMania. It just looks unlikely now because obviously we know the rumours about Goldberg and Goldberg calling out Roman Reigns and them doing a WrestleMania 36. Well, it wasn't a rematch because the match never happened, but the planned match for WrestleMania 36 For me, it's the wrong call. I don't see the reason for it. I don't see the desire for it. I don't see the hunger for anyone to have that match of Reigns versus Goldberg. No one was disappointed we didn't have it this year. Nobody is clamoring for it. I understand WWE say, well, ratings, blah, 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 but it's not the case. I mean, Goldberg got defeated in about 3 minutes by Braun Strowman at WrestleMania last year. What makes him worthy of a match against Roman Reigns apart from, well, we didn't have the match last year, so we've got to have it. BS. If you really want to create new stars, and we've seen, right, the ratings are down for Raw, and there is a lot of questioning about WWE and their ability to make new stars. You have a chance. You have a chance to make a new star in Big E. Have him win the Royal Rumble, have him defeat Roman Reigns, have him be the first person to beat Roman Reigns since he returned at WrestleMania, give him the Universal Championship, see what he can do. If it doesn't work out, give him a few months to SummerSlam, he can drop it. But you've then given yourself the opportunity to make a new star. We criticise WWE, you're not making enough new stars. That's the problem when it comes to the ratings. Well, if you haven't won the Royal Rumble, you can, and then win the Universal Championship, you can make a new star. It's about giving talent the opportunity and giving them the opportunity to succeed. You've seen how Drew McIntyre's done it. Who's to say Big E can't do the same? So when it comes to this match tonight, I'm not going to give my prediction because actually I do know the outcome for this one, unfortunately. Not because I read the spoilers, but because annoying people put them on social media and put them on the timeline without warning people, so that's the case, unfortunately. It was actually a prominent newspaper over here in the UK, The Sun, that spoiled it, which was so frustrating. But it is what it is, but I hope you've enjoyed the preview. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on Sami Zayn defending the Intercontinental Championship tonight against Big E? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So drop a comment, get involved with the community below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button. Really does help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.